Hello, I hope you are well. In this video we will see how do they make babies or young children cry for a movie scene that calls for it. Thank you for clicking on this video. It is presented to you by Question Answer. Today's answers will be presented by Daniel Yoon, Gabriel Diamond, Ross Branigan and Monahan. We'll start with the first answer by Daniel Yoon.
There's actually a really funny tactic directors and the crew do for this kind of situation. In Monsters, Inc. 2001, Mary Gibbs, the voice actor for Boo, was so young that she couldn't sit still and read her lines. And instead of forcing the issue, they simply followed her around with the camera and microphone rolling and cut the lines from the clips gathered. Aside from this cute little tidbit, other methods get a bit more dark. During the movie Skippy 1931, director Norman Taurog threatened Jackie Cooper that he would shoot his dog if he didn't cry. That is why Jackie Cooper's autobiography was named, Please Don't Shoot My Dog. During Exodus 1960, Otto Preminger, the director, wanted to make the emotional scene more realistic. He told all the child actors that their mothers left them and they will never see them again, causing them to tear in hysteria. In the movie The Man Without a Face 1993, Mel Gibson's fit of rage would scare Gaby Hoffman into tears. I'm sure there are more, but these are some of the methods used to make children cry.
We can continue with Gabriel Diamond's answer.
I was hired several years ago to direct a public service announcement for an alliance against domestic violence. The tagline the organization wanted to use was, "Emotional abuse is a form of violence." I submitted a few script treatment options to the client and the one they chose took place around a family dinner table, with the camera slowly moving around the family. It opened with the father yelling at the mother and storming off. At that point the older boy, around 8 years old, begins to cry. Then the mother snaps at the two children, and we go to a close-up of the little girl. When it came time for children's close-ups, the boy cried on cue like a pro. It was completely convincing and moving, with 1 or 2 tears streaming down his face. Very cinematic. Everyone was amazed at how he did this and someone asked afterwards how he done that and if he was alright. He said he thought about his grandfather dying and that made him cry, but that he was fine and he loved acting. I was in director heaven. The kid was incredible. Then came time for the little girl's close-up. She was about 4. I'd cast her because she had these big innocent eyes and her neutral face was so vulnerable that I knew with the right editing we'd be able to pull it off without her having to do any acting at all aside from look in the direction of her parents. We did a couple takes and I was happy. But at this point the client, who had never been involved in producing a film before, thought that all kids should be able to cry on cue and asked if we could do a few takes with her crying. Privately, I advised against this, saying it wasn't necessary, but they insisted. So they asked her to cry. With each additional take she would fidget more and more nervously until eventually she was full on giggling. Rather than give up and trust me, the client became fixated on her crying and the little girl's mother, who was of course on set, came up and whispered something in her ear. Immediately the little girl started wailing and crying. Everyone rushed to her to see if she was alright, blocking our only chance at getting the shot. I quickly shooed them away and began rolling the camera, calmly directing the distraught girl to look at her food, look at her mother, etc., until we got the shot. After we cut, people went to comfort her. We later discovered that her mom, who was very invested in her daughter becoming an actress apparently, had threatened to take away all her stuffed animals unless she cried. In the editing the early takes of her face neutral were perfect, and the crying version felt off, and ultimately less powerful. The irony of causing emotional abuse in order to prevent it was not lost on me.
We continue with Ross Branigan's answer.
If a baby is called for in a movie as a cast member rather than just a passing extra in the background where a doll might suffice, then this process is used. The babies are kept safe and happy by strict rules, guidelines and an ever-present chaperone. This includes no loud noises or strong perfumes, no unnecessary cooing over the infant, hours and schedules to suit the baby's routine. Casting a calm and very focused, attentive infant. Some babies develop an intensity and can focus for longer than others. Sometimes twins are cast so that when one baby is tired or fractious, their twin can take over. Using babies mainly for reaction rather than action shots. Usually it is easy to get a baby to react in the way you want, but it is very difficult to get them to look like they are initiating something. Shooting a library of stock close-up reaction shots when the baby is in the mood. Using a look-alike doll wherever possible. Using babies in safe tight shots, not in wide shots where villains, monsters and furious action are taking place. If a monster is about to attack a baby, for example, there is no need for the monster to even be on set that day. All you need is for the baby to look in a particular direction and to react. This is accomplished by having the parent behind the camera holding up a favorite toy. The baby looks in that direction. The parent whisks the toy away. The baby cries for an instant until the toy is returned. Remember that crying is a baby's way of communicating and not the significant traumatic event it is for adults and older children. The magic of editing stitches shots together to suggest a continuity of action and that characters you see from one shot to the next are actually in the same place at the same time.
We continue with Monahan's answer.
In our first feature, there was a scene that required a novice 3-year-old actor to cry hysterically. We also had to shoot the scene very quickly because we were behind schedule, as is always the case on no-budget films being made by first-timers. Not wanting to do anything too unethical, I had to come up with a solution, fast, because the kid was laughing and having too much fun with all the lights and attention. It was then that I remembered that there was a bag of chocolates in the car. We told our little thespian that we had a surprise for him as we set up the shot. When the camera was ready to roll, we handed him a big bowl of sweets. His eyes lit up. It was the best day of his life. Camera was ready. Okay, roll. And as soon as we gave him the bowl full of candy, we took it away. He immediately bawled his eyes into a flood. Okay, cut. We quickly gave him the candy back. And he was again over the moon. We checked the footage. We had our shot.
This is the end of the video. Thank you for staying until the end. Remember to subscribe if you like the video. The likes also help a lot for referencing, you know what you have to do. This is now the end of this video. Remember to leave a comment to tell us if these answers resonate with you. Bye and see you soon.